Everyone, welcome to a new video. We are here at Aldershot Police Station, which you may recognise from Sergeant Clarkson, the temporary sergeant.
Thank you. So please
Have
leave.
you put some aftershave on just for me?
Please leave, please. Okay, you're on private property, you are trespassing right now. No.
You've not identified yourself,
Sorry, neither of you.
and you've not told me you're recording.
Okay, that's
Why
fine.
don't you stick to your policies? Why is it always ones with the thin blue line that don't stick to their policies?
Okay, my name's TPS Clarkson 27394, based at Aldershot Police Station. Listen, I don't really care whether you're filming me or not.
No,
It
you
can
don't
go
care.
on YouTube
And it will,
you
yeah.
like. Perfect. You do what you want to do. You're on
Yeah.
private property, please leave.
And you do what you want to do,
Thank you very much. Please
as
leave.
long as it's within the law.
It is within the law because you're on private
It is.
property. Please leave.
I'm going to step onto the footpath.
Yeah, you're going to be getting off our private property, okay?
Well, I'm going to step onto the footpath.
You're going to be getting off private property or you'll be arrested for breach of the peace. Yeah, please don't come around here again, okay? Because you'll be arrested for breach of the peace, okay?
But thank you very much for being a tyrant.
Sorry, what did you call me?
Being a tyrant.
A tyrant?
Yeah.
Am I a tyrant? I'm not interested in getting an argument with you.
I'm not
Keep calling me
interested in
names
arguing.
And you'll be arrested for a public order offence, okay? Thanks very much.
So I've come here today wearing a t-shirt with his quote on it. Call me a tyrant again and I'll arrest you. So we are here and we're going to wear this and we're going to see, is he going to arrest me? And I'm also going to tell you about
Back outside Aldershot Police Station, but this time things feel different. On his last visit, our auditor had a tense encounter with a sergeant named Clarkson who made several remarks that caught a lot of attention. Today, the auditor returns with a subtle but deliberate move. He's wearing a t-shirt printed with those very words. It's not aggressive, just calculated, and it sets the mood for what's about to happen. But before any interaction with Clarkson begins, something else comes into play. A letter that could change the direction of everything.
is we're going to do exactly what we did last time. We're going to walk around past the magistrate's court. So interesting to note about this, I made the complaint anonymously. However, when they sent me my complaint outcome, they used my full name, just to let me know that they know who I am. I've watched your YouTube channel. There is no body-worn footage. Very convenient. So their first complaint was that temporary sergeant was rude and dismissive. I've watched your YouTube film of the incident titled Thin Blue Line Bully under Absolute Audits, where your email address appertains to. Clarkson, I agree was a little blunt with you on occasions in the footage. He is polite in his requests to ask you to leave initially, however, then things deteriorate a little. In the main, I can see he is frustrated with you, and this has come across as being dismissive. I can see how you felt that some of his conduct was rude. At points, however, you have goaded him unnecessarily, and you have admitted in your own film that you had pushed him as far as you could. Now, they've slightly twisted that. In the original video I said that I couldn't push things any further, so I did as he asked me to, because I had places to be and couldn't get arrested. So they've sort of taken my words out of context, slightly though. You're at liberty to film at police station and police officers, police cars, etc. from a public area. However, my advice to you is to ask blah blah blah, no thank you. I note from other videos you have posted on YouTube, blah blah blah. That's got no relevance. Not all areas of the police station are public. I have, however, spoken to TPS Clarkson's supervisor, who has already debriefed the officer and made it clear to him to remain professional at all times. I therefore conclude that the service provided by, as in to buy something, was not acceptable. So that's point one.
The complaint was submitted anonymously, but that alone raises questions. 4 issues were brought forward. 3 of them were accepted, yet there was no body cam footage and no clear explanation to support the outcome. The fourth issue, about physical contact, is where things become less straightforward and start to raise even more concerns.
TPS Clarkson physically touched him. You state that he touched you and this is unwanted contact. I've spoken with TPS Clarkson and also the other police officer who was present. Neither officer remembers Clarkson touching you. Your own video does not show this either. I can see no contact between the officer and yourself on your video. I think that's correct because of the angle. It wasn't caught on film. Are there CCTV cameras around here? I mean, it happens sort of here, so not really. I can hear you say don't touch me on the video clip as he's holding out a hand, but the hand doesn't touch you. Well, you can't specify that because you've just said here that you can't see whether he did or not. Therefore, the service provided by the police was acceptable. Wouldn't say it was acceptable, but I can see their point there. And the final part is the complainant believes he was threatened with arrest unlawfully. This is where it gets interesting. You state, TPS Clarkson threatened to arrest you for a breach of the peace and the Public Order Act offence which you believe to be against the law, namely Section 26, Criminal Justice and Courts Act 2015. A police constable listed in subsection 3 commits an offence if he or she exercises the powers and privileges of a constable improperly, and he knows or ought to know that the exercise is improper. Now I've got the legislation here, so it's correct, it does say that. This is where it gets interesting. They actually referred this to the force solicitor. It is clear on your YouTube video that TPS Clarkson has said that you may be arrested for those offences which appear to have been said mistakenly in the heat of the moment and are inaccurate in terms of the context. Oh! Okay, so he said it by accident in the heat of the moment and I've taken it out of context. Ah, silly me. Well, if only we were afforded that leniency. I apologise that this has caused you some distress. The officer has been debriefed on these points already by his inspector and advised accordingly for his own learning and development. Ah, lovely. I have taken advice from our force solicitor on the law, as you have quoted expressing concern that TPS Clarkson has breached that law. An extract from his response to me is as follows. The offence mentioned does exist, but not quite in the way suggested. It is a corruption offence and requires the incorrect use of police powers to be deliberate and for the benefit of the officer or detriment of another. Therefore, it only applies if there is a deliberate attempt.
According to the official response, it was described as something said in the heat of the moment, an explanation used for a threat of unlawful arrest made toward a member of the public. A legal advisor was consulted, and it was noted that the conditions for an offense may have been present. However, since it was treated as a mistake, no further action was taken. That leaves one obvious question hanging in the air.
Dealing with the law, there is nothing legally stopping the activities of these auditors in terms of taking pictures. However, a police building and land is not public space. As such, if they are asked to leave, they become trespassers. So whilst he has not breached that law, I conclude that the service provided by the police was not acceptable. So they're upholding that element of the complaint even though they're saying he didn't break that law because it was a mistake. So that's interesting, isn't it? We'll go over the rest of the letter in a second, but I just want to touch on this a little bit more. I'm going to put a link to the video at the end so you can go and watch it if you haven't already or you want to see it again. So they're admitting that basically the threshold for the offence for all elements apart from that it has to be intentional have been met. So if he'd done it on purpose, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, it was by accident. If he did it on purpose, then he would have committed the offence. So all the elements are there. Now, just by him saying, "Oh, I didn't mean to say that, it was an accident," can negate the offence. Now, would a member of the public be afforded that sort of luxury and that benefit of the doubt? I think that we can assume not. Maybe the person who shouted at the police dog, who's now in prison, shouted at the police dog by accident, for example. And something they seem to have skirted over here is there's multiple occasions. Now, when he was here, he threatened me with one offence. Now, that's 3 times for 2 separate offences. How can 3 times, 2 separate offences, be a mistake? How do you mistakenly threaten to arrest someone?
The force's own legal advisor accepts that the key parts of an offense seem to be there. The complaint is upheld. Yet, because intent can't be clearly proven, the result is limited to a debrief and a note placed on record. That's where the auditor raises a simple question, one that many viewers will likely be thinking as well.
However, if you remain unhappy, blah blah blah, refer to the OPCC. Well, and then I think there's a funny little thing on the end here. It's too cold to even use my fingers. I do hope that this concludes the matter, and that you have understood my explanation. Thank you for taking the time to raise your concerns with us. Yours sincerely, PSDI 19709 N. Mills.